with my co-hosts Stephanie and Lisa, the trio of midlife. Here at Girl Sesh, we are the most unapologetic space where midlife get to speak up, speak truth, and reclaim what thriving really looks like. This isn't your mother's or grandmother's midlife, because midlife for us has been bold, it's been super messy, it's incredibly powerful, and it's ours. We are going to have some raw conversations. Oh man, I can't believe we're putting this out there in the world. And we're going to have real life glow ups where we're redefining what it means to be 40, 50, 60, and beyond. We're going to have zero filters. We're going to have no shame. We're just going to start telling our truth, our sisterhood, and we're going to have a little bit of a hell yes energy, but also like, should we be doing this energy? So, welcome, subscribe, tune in, and let's shake up the table, because who said this is normal? Welcome to today's first episode. This is our intro episode. We've been doing this in a private little community, the three of us, and it all started by accident. We were doing this live weekly, and it just so happened it was the three of us that kept showing up. And then we forgot we were on camera, so we just started talking about real shit. And then we thought, you know what? Why not go into a bigger space like YouTube, where normal, everyday women want to share? And so here we are sharing. And today's subject is all about introducing who we are. So I'm not going to go first because I already talked. Who wants to go first in the introduction?
Stephanie does.
I knew that was coming. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a wife, mother of 6, 4 biologicals, 2 stepkids. I have 5 grandchildren. I have a real estate license. I own a beauty service business. I've been a health coach for 8 years now. And I have my own digital marketing that I do with courses. And I found Girl Sesh a while ago. I'd been invited to it. And what was so funny is I'm always so busy that I find an excuse not to come. And lo and behold, my car broke down. Couldn't go anywhere. I was homebound. And I was like, I think this is God telling me I need to go on Girl Sesh. And I just did it as a whim. And it's clicked ever since. It was the best thing I've ever done. And it just turned out I met 2 girls that are probably going to be my besties for life, because I just related so much to them. And we just clicked. It was just meant to be. These girls were meant to be in my life. We were meant to talk about all of this and not be alone. We were meant to go through this journey together. And so here we are, taking it on the road.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay, Lisa, now it's your turn.
I'm Lisa. I am a single mom of 3 amazing boys. By trade, I am a business strategy advisor. I work to help see your chaos and bring organization to help you achieve your goals. For fun, I advocate for youth equity in sports. My boys are very active in sports, and I want to make sure that every child has that opportunity. Girl Sesh for me actually started via a text message between Wonderful and I. And we were talking about some pretty hard stuff, which we have over the course of our 20+ year friendship. And we decided to do a podcast interview. And we kind of did our first like Girl Sesh launch that launched into the private group. And I think that was kind of the catalyst for us saying, hey, women need real honest conversations that might not be something that is talked about openly, but needs to be, and more women want to talk about it openly. So here I am.
Look at us being so open. Okay, so my name is Wonderful, and that is my birth name, not a stage name. And I think of all 3 of us, I'm the most apprehensive about going into the journeys of midlife because I come culturally from a space where girls just didn't talk, right? We were taught, I was taught pretty early that, yeah, cool, you have opinions, keep it to yourself type of attitude, right? It wasn't like that's what I was told, but I was in that arena. And I know how to work hard and play hard, right? That's a super 80s, 90s saying. I'm very much that person. I'm a Gen Xer. Um, but what I really found to be so fascinating is when we opened the doors to this girl sesh, and it was fascinating that for 3 weeks straight, it was just the three of us. It's so easy. I think there's a difference when it's very easy to talk about the hard things with the right people. And it could be so many things. It could be each one of us holds space for each other. It could be because we relate to each other so much in the struggles and in the journey. And it could be just, it's just the right time in life. It could be all of that. I 100% believe in divine intervention. And, there's a saying in Kung Fu Panda, we often meet our destiny on the road we don't want to take. And so I feel like that's what this is. And what I do for a professional human being is I just love business. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I think I was born an entrepreneur. I used to sell my clips when I was a little person so I could buy ice cream because I hate having to ask, like, "Ugh, I just want ice cream now. And the ice cream man's right outside. So let's do this. And I do that now. And I've only been, I've only been a business owner. So, and I'm a mother of 3 adult children. I have 3 grandbabies. Let me see. I love sunshine, chocolate, and great conversation. And that is my beautiful Malinois losing her mind. Pause that for a second. So now I want to kind of bring it into, now you know who we are, but what has been our journey in midlife? Because each one of us has a very unique journey. We're going to start with Stephanie again because your story is incredible. Not that ours isn't, okay? People don't shame me for saying that. I really think that it will help our audience, whether you're one or many, to understand why we believe this is the time to talk about what we want to talk about. So, what's your journey?
My journey's a long one. So, the first hit, I guess you would say, with my health, was in my mid-30s. I was back in cosmetology school, and halfway through the program, I got really sick. I did not know what was wrong. Every time I was doing someone's hair, my nose was bleeding. I was coughing up blood. Fast forward a little bit, my eyes were like half filled with blood. It was terrible. I went to the doctor, sent me to a specialist, and I had a condition where it's like about 1 or 2% of the population, and I had toxic chemical burns within my respiratory. So I was told I had about a month to live if I kept going to school. So I had to literally completely, and at the time I was going through a divorce as well. So I'm going through a divorce, doing this. So the rug got pulled out from under. And then I had to recover from that. And then after that recovery, I got sick again a few years later. So this happened in about 2008. So around 2010, 11, I got sick again. Went to multiple doctors, had multiple tests run. And this was my biggest jump out of allopathic medicine and into natural. I was told there was nothing wrong with me. It was all in my head within 5 minutes of being at a doctor's office, a nurse or a neurologist. And that's sent me into the world of naturopathic medicine. Fast forward, I went to the naturopath, did blood work, found out I had Epstein-Barr virus, really bad. It had been rummaging through my body for a long time. Got that into remission. I've kept it in remission all these years. And then the next journey was there was something wrong. This is when I was in the best shape of my life, and all of a sudden the weight started rolling. Couldn't keep it. I've been a bodybuilder, weightlifter since my late 20s. I was an athlete all through high school, athlete in college, and it just wouldn't stop. and my gut was swelling. I was living in the bathroom. It took me 13 years, and I got my health coaching certification to heal my body. 13 years later, I found out I had SIBO, celiac disease, candida overgrowth, fungal overgrowth, a touch of C. diff. I mean, it was a mess in my gut. So I had to heal my gut, and I did that. And then the hormones. And it took me so much. By the way, I love all of my naturopathic doctors, but I went through 5 to get to the one who knew hormones, peptides. And that was my game changer. But even with taking the hormones in this midlife, you swing so rapidly that you're going from doing blood work once a year to doing blood work every 3 to 4 months to make sure, you're alternating, because it swung so hard for me last year. Last year was my periods stopped. I was having sporadic and my hormones shifted, and you think you're going crazy. Like, you literally think you're going crazy. So my health journey's been one that I'm coming up on 14 years. And it's been a battle, but there's answers. And I think that's especially what we want to talk about, that there's hope for everyone.
Agreed. Like it's yes. Lisa's the one that said it to me when we were talking one time. She goes, "Did you know that there is a high rate of suicide in midlife?" And I was like, I didn't know that, but I can see why. And then when I looked into it, of course, because you don't really know where to get help. And I'm pretty sure women out there have probably gotten that diagnosis of like, it's all in your head more than we would ever admit on a, like across the board scale. And then we're alone in it. So if we didn't have each other, I mean, I feel really fortunate. You both have talked about it so openly with me because I feel like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm not that person. I am that person that tries to figure, I'm going to make it through. Okay, hormones, they do not fuck around.
No,
Not at all. So tell us your journey, Lisa.
So my journey started early like Stephanie's, except I didn't have like all the health. My journey started in my early 20s. I realized there's something wrong with my hormones in general. I was really imbalanced, and I was really lucky and fortunate to find a naturopath who had previously been an OBGYN, and he was like, this isn't the answer for women. Women need more help. And he ran whole panels on me, and I was on a bunch of different supplements, and then he put me actually on HRTs when I was in my 20s. So HRTs, if, for people that don't know, the acronym is hormone replacement therapies. And my body just wasn't responding to traditional birth control.
Mhm.
I was having really hormonal surges and drops. So that would really flux my emotions, be able to articulate myself. I would have these really horrible mood swings that I couldn't control. I had no control. And like Wonderful, grew up in this, you always have to have control. You always know, yourself. And I just didn't have that control. So then I went into my giving birth to my children, and my hormones kind of regulated themselves during that time because my body was very natural at that place, and it was doing what it was quote unquote meant to do. Uh so now here I am, fast forward, I'm entering into my mid 40s, and I was just casually driving like I do way too often because my kids have all their activities in school. And I was like, everybody hates me. Everybody. Like, my mind was swirling. I was like, my kids hate me. My friends hate me. And I was spiraling so bad. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was like, Something's not right. This is not right. I am not like this. I was like, I could see how women who feel like this end up committing suicide because it was such a dark cloud. It had taken such a hold onto me that I was internally struggling with conversations amongst myself. And finally, I reached out to Wonderful, and I was like, girl, there's something wrong. I don't know what's going on. And she goes, maybe your hormones are off. Maybe you should have your levels checked. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, I totally should. Like, I hung up with her and I called my doctor, and this was like over the holidays. So she got me in, right after we came back from holiday break. And yeah, we took my test, and I basically had no progesterone,
Mm.
Hardly any testosterone. My estrogen was way out of whack. And luckily, because I have history, because I've known I've had issues with my hormones for so long, my body to the point where when it would go to make testosterone, it would kick out more estrogen. So like in my
Mm.
body, I was like literally meant to be a woman. There was like my body's like, nope, you're not gonna have any male balance in you whatsoever. And she was like, so luckily I had that history of, where my body had been. And so she was able to get me on some HRTs pretty quickly. And it's helped regulate. It's definitely, I think I need to, get some more monitoring done because like Stephanie said, that swing is so big right now.
Mm.
So that's kind of my journey. And like I said, you don't have to be alone in this. And like Stephanie said, even though one doctor tells you no, there's another doctor. There's millions of doctors out there. Keep going until your gut tells you this is the right answer. Don't settle. Don't just say this is good enough. Like we need to
Yeah,
do that too.
agreed. So agreed with that. Because so for me, my journey was I didn't have nothing wrong with me ever. Just kidding. I'm pretty sure shit's been in balance for a long while, but it wasn't until in my early 40s that one day I was trying to drink water and I was choking on it. I was like, oh my God, I can't drink this water. And I thought, okay, something's wrong, but it wasn't bad enough for me to be like, I should go see a doctor. But in the middle of a conversation, I'll never forget it. I'm having a conversation and my mind went blank. Like it's never been blank. I'm a woman, first of all. I have all kinds of thoughts going all the time. It just went blank and I could not respond. And my mother died early of breast cancer. My grandmother died early of breast cancer. My great grandmother died. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have a tumor in my head. That's what's happening. So I went to the doctor and she was this 4'11" tiger. And she was like, if I could hit you, I would hit you. What took you so long to get into the hospital? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, your goiter, my goiter, which is your thyroid. A thyroid is this, it's tiny. It's supposed to be like this little tiny thing inside. It had become the size of like an orange. But because it was growing more inside than it was on the outside, they didn't have that humpback look. But even though you could tell it was a little bit swollen, I didn't think anything of it. And so she said, I have hyperthyroid. The most common one with women is hypothyroid. So I'd never heard of hyperthyroid. And she was like, if you had waited 2 more weeks, you would have died from heart failure because my heart rate was so high. It was like triple what it is supposed to be normal. And she gave me two options. I either get it removed or I take this medication for the rest of my life that is awesome for my thyroid, but super bad for my kidneys. And so I'm like, those options are lame, not interested. So I just said thank you. And, took my test and stuff. And I thought, I'm going to go to a naturopath. And like, I didn't know Stephanie at the time. And Lisa was like a 30-year-old full of energy human, didn't give a shit about my hormones. So there's that. So I go to the naturopath and she tells me that I'm bipolar. So now I don't just have hyperthyroid, but I'm also bipolar. And she gives me medication for that. And I'm thinking, great, she knows better, right? And I'm somewhere with a friend of mine that actually she was clinically diagnosed as a bipolar. And I don't know this. And I'm popping my medication. She goes, hey, what are you taking? And I was like, I don't know, it's this thing. And she reads it and she goes, why are you taking this? And I said, well, my naturopath says this is my diagnosis. And she's like, no, I'm bipolar. You're not. And I was like, well, how do you know you're not a doctor? And she says to me, well, I actually studied to be a doctor. I just didn't finish. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay. She goes, no, this is not the right thing for you. You need to see somebody else. So she sends me to her doctor and go find out I'm not bipolar. So I immediately had to get off of lithium, which is a hardcore drug, y'all. That's like serious. So I immediately got off of that, but my thyroid is still a problem. So now I'm thinking I got to get rid of it and, do this. And in my neighborhood, there happens to be an herbalist. And she's like, I have an herbal shop downtown this area. Come visit me. And she looks at my tongue and she tells me all the things. And she's like, we can fix this. But you have to buy my nasty ass tea that looks like I picked it out of, a pile of dirt in the backyard. And you have to heat it up and it's going to stink up your whole house. And by the way, each package is going to be $130. I'm like, sweet, sounds like a solution. Not. I did though. I did. I took this tea, stunk up my house for days, and I gagged every time I had to drink it. It was so nasty, but it helped. It really helped. And then I found another naturopath, and now I've not had it removed. I don't take medication, but I've regulated it, but I have to get it checked all the time. Find out it's a hormone thing. Had your thyroid is connected to your hormones. And I was going through my early stages of perimenopause and my body was just freaking out. But because I didn't have the regular symptoms, I wasn't, having night sweats or brain fog. What I was having was massive amounts of anxiety. Like I was having anxiety on full tilt. And then this other thing happened in my life called life, right? And one of the conversations we had as the three of us one day was like, how come we never associate hormone transitions with life transitions? Why doesn't the doctor ever ask us about that when we're talking to them about something's up with us? They never ask what's happening in your life that could be causing this, right? What's happening? Why do we have to go to 8 different spaces to figure out? I mean, okay, maybe that for now that's the case. But that is my journey of how I decided that maybe this is something we should talk about, and that midlife is a serious enough space that we're gonna talk to a very giant platform, honestly and openly about spaces that make us a little uncomfortable, right? So unmute yourself, chicas. What do you think about that idea of why aren't we associating life transitions with hormone transitions? Like Stephanie, when you were like, it goes up and down and sideways, our hormones balances are like pendulum swinging like Tarzan. And then Lisa over here has got a black heart as her nameplate because she's going through a little bit of a emotional challenge in life. Why aren't we associating that? Why do you think,
I think
ladies?
historically women have been told not to, their emotions make them crazy, right? And that word crazy
Mm,
has such a bad stigma to it, right? Like, yeah, emotions are supposed to change you, right? You're supposed to feel these emotions. Your body goes through all these emotions, but historically, I mean, back in the day when women were crazy, they would go to their doctor, so their doctor would literally pleasure them with orgasms to fix them. Like
mm,
women, we need to experience that release, right? When we don't have that release, we don't have that outlet. And so for so long we've been quieted. So
mm,
talking about our outside life, that couldn't be the reason. That's not why your health is being this way. That wouldn't be. That's just because, those are your emotions. Emotions have nothing. And like today, I heard Mel Robbins say, every adult walking around is an 8-year-old child because none of us have been told how to be emotionally connected. We don't understand how emotional intelligence. And really, we don't. We don't know how to express or feel or hold space for those emotions. So when our doctor's like, oh, you feel this? Oh, well, here, take this pill and then you'll be better. No, we need
mm,
we need to talk it out. We need to release. We need a form of that release whether it be talking, crying, screaming, shouting, whatever. And I think that helps us gain that clarity as to, oh, this thing that's happening in my life right now is causing me to feel this. And of course, my body is going to feel this. When I was in my marriage, I couldn't see how toxic it was. In
Mm.
hindsight, now I see it. It put me in the hospital twice from the stress of its toxicity, and it wasn't like
Mm.
a physical, abuse. It was just more like the mental and the just lack of emotional support to the point where I had such bad acid reflux that it put me in the hospital twice. Once after I gave birth to my second son, and the second time I was pregnant with my second son and I thought I was going through labor. Why did I have acid reflux? They were just like, oh, you gotta be careful what you eat, because you just had a baby, or oh,
Right.
you're pregnant, blah, blah. No, it was stress because I carry all my stress right there. So now when I
Yeah.
start to feel that, I'm like, oh, I'm stressed. Something's going on. I need to sit with myself. So I don't know what it was like for you, Stephanie, but that's what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I think something else. I mean, we all live in Washington, so we're all in the same state, but I've lived in 5 states. But something that I've noticed over my 50 years now is the desocialization.
Mm.
And women were so desocialized that we're not talking to each other like we would in a normal setting. Everybody's hiding behind a keyboard, or they're scrolling through Facebook, or they're looking through Instagram, and there's no human connection anymore. And I just feel
Mm.
like there's more human connection. Women would talk more. But I think in our generation, we did grow up where women weren't supposed to talk about these things. You weren't supposed to
Right.
talk about your periods. You weren't supposed to talk about
Right.
perimenopause and menopause. We weren't supposed to say if we were having cramps, or say, like you. It was treated as it was something dirty instead of something
Yeah.
normal and natural.
Right.
And so even bringing up my girls, I broke that generational chain. 3 boys, 3 girls. I did not hide having a period or having my son go grab a tampon for me and slide it under the door. Like, I made it so this is a normal part of what girls go through every single month.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want that stigma, I wanted them to know this is normal, this is natural, there's nothing dirty, there's nothing wrong with you, right?
Mhm.
And that is where I think this comes in, that what we're trying to do is reconnect that. Instead of it being disconnected, we're trying to connect it. And so
Yeah.
that is what I hope that the three of us are able to do, is open that dialogue wide open for
Yeah.
all
Right.
things women, and really let women know you've got to connect with other women. You've
Right.
got, in a human form. I mean, sit down at a coffee house or go to each other's houses. You need the connection. It's so
Yeah.
important to talk about this. And I do believe that suicide rate, like Lisa said, it's high for a reason. I mean, I just experienced it in November. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown right before Thanksgiving. I knew I wasn't. I'm very in tune with my body. I'm standing in my living room going, I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown, but I know I'm not having a nervous breakdown.
Hmm.
What is this?
Yeah.
And I called my daughter-in-law's mom that I'm friends with, and I'm like, Mandy, is this perimenopause? Is this menopause? And she was like, oh yeah. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital.
Right.
Like, she thought she was going crazy. And I stood there, I called my doctor, had a meeting, and sure enough, my testosterone had gotten too high, my estrogen was too low, so I was all out of whack.
Yeah.
And I said, if my husband would have taken me to the ER, they would have thrown me on an antidepressant and told me it's all in my head
Yep.
and sent me
Right.
on my merry way.
Well, and I think
Right.
like you said, Stephanie, like us women need to connect in a real life setting, right?
Mhm.
But also connect in a way where we're not speaking from a victim standpoint, right? And also like
Yeah.
giving each other
Yes.
solutions, right? Because like Wonderful shared with us, she was like, I'm going crazy, and her friends that she was talking to were like, oh yeah, oh that's crazy, and then her other friends were like, girl, go get your hormones checked. Like we need to have those honest conversations, like because when we don't, we're just like, oh yeah, we're all gonna sit here and be a little victim and have a bitch session. Okay, that's fine. That's fun sometimes. Like sometimes we just need that too. But also we need to be like, look, I really care about you. Something is wrong. You need to go have this
Right.
looked and
Yep.
checked.
Yeah. Agreed. And I
100%.
also
Yeah.
feel like it builds trust generationally for us women because we've been pinned against each other through historically, right? So when you know Stephanie is reaching out and is like, hey, here are the products I use. I'm not seeing it from the perspective of, oh my God, she's selling me something. But it's interesting because in the beginning, right, Stephanie and I don't have the same length of history that Lisa and I do. And she would say to me, I'm not selling anything. I'm not affiliated with these people. Like, why do we have to start the conversation that way when it's really like, look, I've done my due diligence because of my own health issues, and here's the products I trust. And I care enough about you as a woman to just offer it to you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you know, we have a tendency to initially say to each other, like, hey, we're starting this channel because we think it's a conversation that needs to be had. But if it was like what Lisa's suggesting, if it was from a victim space, it would be like, okay, here's the deal. I have just been feeling so lost, not to dismiss that there are experiences we have as human beings where we are victimized to something. That's not, but we also need to be a supportive space system to say, I get it. You get 2 more minutes to do that. And then let's together figure out the next steps, right? Like, I feel like as women, we want to be, oh, honey, it's gonna, well, some, I really don't need the oh honey. I really need the I give you 2 more minutes to cry it out. And then I could be like, no, fuck you. I need an hour at least. Right. And then you could be like, all right, no more than an hour. And then we're gonna do this together and figure it out. Because those I think are the power moves as women we have for ourselves, but we're really scared to do it with other people because it's like, shit, they're gonna judge me that I'm heartless. They're gonna judge me that I'm not being a friend. When really we do need that with each other. We need to be able to say, I don't always agree with you, but it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't care about you. I just don't agree that I should have my hair cut. I don't care if I do my own bangs. You don't have to like it. I'm just kidding because literally I cut my own bangs. So I feel like when we started off too, you know, Lisa had said something about now there's a lot of famous people out there in the world talking about what we're talking about midlife. And Stephanie had mentioned that she used to follow somebody that was like, you know, girl, I know you have hair extensions. I know you get this done. Those are spaces we need to be honest too, because I like getting ready. I'm 51 years old and I still like fake lashes and I'm not going to apologize about it. And if I go get Botox, you don't get to tell me that you think Botox is shit. Cool story. I don't want to know about it. Right?
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to establish in this girl sesh is to be more that. Because I mean, in the history of me and Lisa, she's disagreed with me plenty of times. Right? And I feel like that's what's gonna happen now in this conversation. And I think it's okay. We could still be friends. We could still meet at coffee and
I'm
not
her
agree.
friend that just started wearing makeup like maybe 8 years ago. And
Yeah.
I would always have my hair pulled up and she would say, you need to wear your hair down. You should wear your hair down. And I was like, bitch, I'm an athlete. Leave me alone. She's like, you should smile more. You're so pretty when you do this. And I'm like, what? Like, leave me alone. I gotta go kick butt over here. Leave me alone. And so for me, this is like a new space too of like being in a more feminine, outward feminine space because I would say out of the three of us, I'm the more of the tomboy. You know, you'll catch me much more in like yoga pants or sweatpants and a hoodie than you will dressed up. And so when I dress up, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. You look so great." And I'm like, I look great in a hoodie too. So whatever. I feel more comfortable in that space than I do in this space. but
Right.
I own both spaces. And I think that as women is that we also need to just own our own internal power or own like who
Yeah.
we are and be comfortable with that and know that though the three of us are very different, we have a similarity in the sense that we all want the best for each other and we're not judging and we're not like, oh, you don't do this, oh, you do this, or I don't do this and you don't do that. Like it, it's like that honest, raw, we're here and we're supporting each other.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think too, the whole victim thing, this is something I love that you brought up. We, all three of us, have been a victim at some point in our life, in that moment, right? In that moment, we were a victim in the moment. When that moment's over, you have two choices. Are you going to keep being a victim or are you going to be the victor? Which path are you going to choose? And the three of us sitting here have chosen we're going to be the victor. We're not going to be the victim. And respecting each other's spaces. I was laughing about this the other day because I was thinking, it doesn't matter what your belief system is. It doesn't matter how you vote. It doesn't matter, how you think about this or that. Menopause is coming for you. Okay. It doesn't care. It does not care who you pull a lever for, what church you go to, what church you don't go to. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you wear makeup, if you don't wear makeup, it is coming for you hard. So, and
Yeah.
that, like, I have three daughters. All three daughters are completely different. I have one daughter that is a complete tomboy, like short hair. Her hair's as short as her husband's. I mean, like, that's just who she is. Doesn't wear a stitch of makeup, doesn't care about any of it. I've got the other daughter who does get her hair done, but she doesn't really wear makeup or anything. It's just not really her jam to do every day. And then there's my younger daughter that's just like me. She does her makeup every day. She's got, her hair's foiled, she's blonde, all this. But she's even different than me. I won't even go to my mailbox without the makeup on. Like, I'm just bougie that way, okay? Like, I won't even walk outside without my makeup. But she will. She'll go places. If she's just in a hurry, she'll go run to the doctor without her makeup. Me? Oh no, it's not even happening. Like, my husband knows, don't say, okay, hey, let's go someplace really quick. If my makeup is not on, he just knows I'm going to be here for another hour and a half before we're going anywhere. But that's who I am. It's who I've always been. I've always loved the beauty industry and I love makeup and hair and my hair extensions. And like, it's just who I am. But once
Right.
again, I have three daughters, three different ways. And I never pushed any of them to be any kind of way. I wanted them to be their own individual self. Right.
Yeah.
But once again, it doesn't matter. It's the perimenopause, the menopause, the hormones, the swings, the shifts, the weight gain, the not being able to sleep
Yeah.
or the anxiety that comes with
Yeah.
those, that imbalance. It's coming for everyone. And for those few minor people who they just cruise through menopause and act like nothing ever happened to me. Well, here's your trophy, Peaches. I mean, we're so
Those are the same women that we hated when we were pregnant. They're like, I love being pregnant. Oh my God,
Oh
it's great.
my
And I'm just like,
gosh.
get out of here,
Yeah.
get out of here. But I also think, like, on to your point, Stephanie, like, it's coming for every single one of us, and it's
Hmm.
coming for every single one of us at different times. It's not
Yes.
a
Yeah.
standard, like, it's going to hit you at 50. I am 45, and it hit me probably, it started hitting me like 2 years ago, but I didn't recognize it until like last year. And so I think that's the other thing. Things can start happening and transitioning when you're in your mid 30s. You'll start to notice things, and that's part of you starting to enter your perimenopause phase. And I think that's why, they call it geriatric pregnancies, because our bodies are going through this transition. We are feeling younger longer because we are learning things about our bodies, but that still doesn't change the evolution of a woman's body. It starts to do
Yeah.
transitions.
Yep.
Agreed.
My mom was in menopause. I mean, this is crazy to think about now. My mom passed in 2011, but it was like 29 or 30.
Yeah.
She started having
Yeah.
symptoms and didn't really know what was going on until like about her mid 30s or so. And that's when a doctor told her, yeah, you've probably been going through that. That's what you've been going through for like 5 years. And it's happened to her that young. Like, so it can
Right.
happen at such different stages. And the sad thing is we're not telling women the things to look for to know that you're in there.
Right.
They need to know what to look for, and we need to get reconnected with our bodies. We're so desensitized to our bodies in this day and age.
Yeah.
And women need to you need to get back, and you need to be sensitive to your body and know, oh well, something's off.
Right. And it kind of like lands us into this space where it only, well, not only, but it's spoken a lot in the woo-woo world, intuition. But intuition is a natural mechanism within our bodies that is guiding us. But I don't recall anyone ever telling me that my intuition is my North Star, right? I knew that I had to take math class every year for all 12 years of life, right? The history, but there isn't a lot of teaching of who you are. It's a lot of disconnection, though. Like, you got to disconnect. Do you remember back in the day? Well, I'm just not a test taker. No, legitimately, I am not a test taker. There's nothing you can't hypnotize me into be a test taker. I'm just not gonna be a test taker. But on another note, I'm really freaking smart. I read insatiably, but I had to take my real estate test 3 times. I had to take my driving test 4 times, right? I am just not a test person. And I don't know what it is. And those are, I think, things that we have to, with my own daughters, I got to tell them ahead of time, like, it's okay that you're you and how you learn, how you process the world. My daughter came to me one time, I'll never forget it, 7th grade. No, maybe it was 6th grade. I don't know, right around that time. And she was scared. She was like, Mom, okay, I'm going to tell you something and you're going to be so not happy. So I want you to keep in mind, I'm Asian, number one, right? And number two, Asians and grades, highly important. It's like gold. So just keep that in mind. So she comes to me, she's like stressed out. She's, oh my God, Mom, I gotta tell you something. And I'm thinking, ooh, which kid am I gonna have to go knock on their door? And she says, so everybody in class starts off the year with an A. And then it gets slower or stays there depending on what happens. And I go, okay, cool story. And she goes, so I'm getting a D in this particular class. And if you're not in an American school system, we go A, B, C, D. F is the worst for failure. A is like awesome. C is like you're kind of in the middle. D is like, ooh, you're about to get you're as close to F as you can possibly be. And I remember thinking to myself, because I grew up in a type of environment where grades defined your value. So I said to her, I said, well, is the D like the best you can do in this particular subject? And she was like, it was really hard for me to understand what they were talking about because it was a new form of math. If anybody knows, they switched math on us about 10, 15 years ago. Anyways, I said, well, okay, do you think you'll stay a D in terms of like what you are wanting to learn, like your desire? And she's like, no, maybe if I stayed after school, maybe I'll raise it up. And I go, then a D, we're gonna celebrate that today because that's the best you can do with what you've been given. But if you got the D because you're just lazy, and you're like, don't want to do any work, we'd have to have a problem. Right? We'd have a problem. Me and you, we'd have a problem. But if it's not, then let's celebrate the D. And it was mind-boggling to me as a mother, as I'm saying it, verbalizing it. I'm like, man, I wish life was like that, where it's like, I value you as a woman, even though you're losing more testosterone, your boobs are getting a little flabby, right? I still value you as a woman, and I believe that this is what we're trying to say. Like, our value doesn't diminish just because we get older, which is ageism, right? Our bodies are shifting and our emotions are heightened. The value doesn't change because I'm still bringing something to the table. And I feel like as we're getting near the end here, what do you believe you have questioned about your value because of this getting older and also your hormones?
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a truth to that. I think that because Lisa's at a little bit different stage than Wonderful and I, because all 6 of my kids are grown and out of the house. So my 6 kids range from age of 30, getting ready to turn 31 to 25. And we have the grandbabies. And there is something with that empty nester, right? Like when your kids move out and you've done your job, and then there's a now what, right? Like you think, because you're so wrapped up in your kids, like you're so wrapped up in that being a wife, being a mother. I mean, I'm still alive, but you know what I mean? And then when that part is gone, and I even kept my 2 grandbabies for like 2 or 3 years. I was nannying them all day long. When that's gone, there is a piece of in your mind and what's my value now?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
For
my
sure.
worth?
Well,
Yeah.
and I like,
For sure.
you know, you and Stephanie don't have the little ones in the house, right? And right now, me going through my perimenopause, and my oldest is a teenager now. And so I'm navigating his teenage emotions and my perimenopause emotions. And, you know, and so like I question my ability to be a good mom on a daily basis, because there's moments where I'm just like, oh my God, get your shit together. I can't do it again. Like I'm repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And I feel like I'm going crazy. And it was funny because my teenage son said to me, he came home and he's like, Mom, he was struggling in a class. And he goes, yeah, my history teacher told me, I don't remember his history, one of the teachers told me that if I needed to get this paragraph done. Oh, it's literature. I need to get this paragraph done. And I told her, well, I don't know that I'm going to have time this weekend because I have baseball. And she said, well, you know, you have to make sure that you're prioritizing your stuff. And he came home like devastated. Like he was like, she told me I shouldn't play sports and that, you know, I should only
That's what
focus
he
on my
heard.
school. You know, that's what he heard. And I'm like, what? Like, and at first I'm like defensive, like, what? How could she? And then I was like, wait. Let me check myself real quick. And I said, how did she say it? Like, specifically, what did she say? And he said that I need to like make sure I prioritize my time. I was like, so she didn't say you can't play sports. Like, yes, I agree with her. Your academics comes before your sports. And if you're not doing your work, then yes, you don't get to play sports. Like, sorry, that's what it is. And I said, but what she's saying is figure out how to create that balance. And I was like, I can have a conversation with her if you feel like I need how she approached it with you, but I think this is a place where you need to advocate for yourself and say this. But I'm navigating his emotions and at the same time trying to check my own emotions and being like, am I bringing the right value to him? Am I bringing the right value to my boys right now? Am I telling them the right things? Because I'm fluctuating in all the craziness. My son goes, yeah, sometimes she snaps at us, but I think it's that like, you know, when you talked about the women and their emotions go crazy, because I think, you know, sometimes it's like that. Like, sometimes your emotions like just be going crazy. It's like, yeah, but there should also be the reconciliation piece afterwards. And if she's not doing that with you, then that's probably not good either. So but it's hard to know where you bring value. I think someone asked me the other day, they're like, tell me a time that you failed. And I was like, every day. This morning, 5 minutes ago, like when I yelled at my
Yeah.
kids to get out the door, I didn't love that. I
Yeah.
failed at that. But I think, you know, us having these honest conversations that, hey, you guys are in a stage where your kids are grown and now you're helping your grown daughters navigate that. Here
Yeah.
I am in a phase where I'm going through my teenager going through emotions, learning their emotions really, and I'm navigating my own. How do we make that a level playing field so that I'm raising emotionally
Yeah.
intelligent people?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanna sort of bring this to a close here, but I'm gonna tell you guys where I feel this value, and it's, you know, it's kind of funny because I was telling my husband one day, I said, oh, I want to get my boobs lifted. I don't want to get my boobs, you know, done. Like I don't want saline or anything like that. Not that if I was a different size, I would, but I'm hefty as it is up there. And I was like, I am sick of like, I have to wear a bra all the time, right? So I just wanna have a boob. And he's just like, okay, whatever, if that's what you want, right? And then, and then in the midst of my losing my mind over getting my boob lift, because I'm thinking I hate pain. I don't even want to get tattoos because I don't want to be in pain. So what am I going to do with the boob lift? Because that's going to be painful for like 6 weeks. And then I said, well, you know why I really want a boob lift? And he's like, sure, why? And I said, well, because I think when you're looking at me naked, you're thinking like, oh my God, our boobs are just saggy. And he was like, what? And I go, well, don't you? And he goes, no, I don't care where it's at. It could be on your back. He's like, I just like them. And I was like, wait, what? He goes, no, I don't look at it the way you look at it. I just like them. And I'm thinking, I was gonna put myself through pain that I don't want because I think my value is in having perky boobs at 51 naked. When he does not give a crap about it. And it really hit me hard of like, where else am I looking at myself going, I need to fix this because it doesn't fit right or look right to someone else, right? To someone else. And I feel like that sums up this whole girl sesh. Where do we think as women we have to fix ourselves because we think someone else is looking at it in a gross way or an incorrect way or an unpleasant way? That's not even really true.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. So with that, I suggest you follow us every single week and you subscribe, and then you go and tell everybody that you started watching this girl sesh with 3 crazy women who love their lives, and keep listening to us and watching us and being a part of our lives, because you're going to get some good stuff out of here. I mean, I have already, and we've been only at it for 4 weeks. So any last words, ladies?
Know that this isn't normal. And you know what? We're redefining what normal is.
Yes.
100%.
Amen to
It
that.
doesn't have to be this way. Yep.
Yep, it doesn't have to be this way. All right, and make it make sense, people. Make it make
Make
sense.
sense.
it make
Yep.
sense.
All right, until next time, thank you, and I'll see you two ladies next week.
Bye.
Bye.